How's Alex progressing? Any chance for tomorrow or still?
No chance for tomorrow, but we're hoping he's going to the doctor tomorrow to kind of, it's 3 weeks tomorrow, and that was kind of the target date. Initially, let's try to give it 3 weeks to get fully healed or better to the point where he could get on the court and start doing some things. So we're hoping, after the game tomorrow, Wednesday or Thursday, we can get him out there, and then it'll just be how he's coming along. Does he feel good? Are there any setbacks? Or so, potentially maybe on Saturday, but unfortunately he won't be ready to go tomorrow.
How important is it that Harden has stepped up the way that he has?
Well, it's been huge, and obviously we were in a tough spot when Alex went down, and our intention was to not use Derek this year because we want to invest in his future. And the fact that Joey was still hurt and was battling a foot injury, and Alex, we had no choice but to go to the bullpen for Derek. And I tell you what, him being ready to step in and not only play but play really well has been a huge key to us being able to continue to do some things in our conference games.
The other night, not just how you won. Not that this team wasn't confident, but how much have you seen from them and confidence building them, I guess?
Yeah, I thought it was a feel-good win.
Sure.
When you go through the league and you play good teams and you lose a couple, you get knocked back, and our guys put a lot into it, as every team does. And when you have a week where you suffer 2 straight losses, especially at home, you can lose a little bit of confidence. And in our league, it's so important to stay away from extended losing streaks because, look, you're going to lose some games. The teams are good. You're playing really good teams every night. You're not going to play your best. Sometimes you're just going to get outplayed by someone who can play. So, for us, it was very important to go to the game against Minnesota and find a way to win. And I just thought we played really well under those circumstances. Our guys shared the ball. We had great energy, and I thought we showed a lot of positive things, which hopefully we can take into tomorrow.
After the Ohio State game, you talked about Trey pressure too much.
Yeah.
And after Saturday's game, you talked about the team trusting your team.
Yeah.
Was that a point of emphasis? Did you sit down and talk to Trey, talk to the team?
Yeah, we talked to everybody about it and actually showed, sometimes when it's not going so well, you lose sight of what it was like when it was going well. So we actually showed a bunch of clips of us playing well and being the team that we've been with sharing the ball and getting a lot of assists and making the extra pass and playing with emotion and having each other's backs. And so I thought that actually helped a lot. Sometimes when you're going through a little bit of a tough time and you're trying to regain it, being able to see yourself doing positive things can help. And I thought the guys, we showed that actually the night before the game on Saturday. And I thought it gave us a little bit of life going into the game, and then again the way it was. It just so happened that we had a lot of guys contributing. We were able to move the ball, and I was really proud of both Trey and Bryant because those are the 2 guys that have the ball all the time, and they're both ultra competitive. So sometimes in those situations you want to take it all on your own, and I was proud of the way that they played the other night. I thought they both played really good games where they took what was there for them, but they had their hand in getting other guys shots as well.
Is it surprising that someone as old as Trey and someone with Bryant's basketball IQ would fall prey to something like that?
No, I think that's human nature on every
Even
level.
for an older.
I do. I think you see it on every level. You see it in the pros, you see it in college. Guys that are competitive sometimes, and if your team is struggling, you fight human nature a little bit. I can do it, and that's when you really have to keep your poise. You have to stay within our offense, especially when we have some guys down. They know 2 of our best players are out. So, if you come into the year and you're projecting, 2 of our top 4 guys are going to be Law and Ola. So, those 2 guys are saying, well, we don't have those 2 guys. It's not going so well. We got to try to do more. And, I think that hurt us a little bit in the Ohio State game. I thought the Maryland game, I just thought we ran into a buzzsaw. But I thought in the Ohio State game, that was not indicative of how we've played. That was out of character from the team we've been, and it was good to see us kind of get back into the character of who we were against Minnesota.
Is the guard rotation on Saturday getting Ash 8 or so minutes? Is that what you think you're going to be able to do even against the
I hope so.
close games?
I hope so. Certainly he got a couple there at the end. So I was able to get Bryant some rest in the game, which I think is key, even if it's just 2 minutes and a timeout. I really thought, again, you go back to the Ohio State game, as poorly as I felt we played, for much of the game. With 8 minutes to go, it was a 1-point game. And the problem was Bryant had nothing left. He had to expend so much energy. We hadn't gotten him any rest. And he wasn't at his best down the stretch, and it hurt us. So, Jordan had an infection in his leg for a while, which knocked him back. Now he's back, and we're going to get him in there. And I thought it helped just being able to get Bryant at 32 minutes versus 40. I think is a big difference.
Wisconsin's a team that both this year and last year they've, interestingly, had a pretty high three-point field goal percentage against.
Yeah.
Do you see anything there, or is that just random fluctuation?
Well, for them, they don't do a lot of trapping, and they stay with their men a lot, and they kind of zone up when you do your pick and roll action, and they try to keep even though it's a man-to-man, they kind of have principles where they want you to shoot a lot of mid-range jump shots. That's been a staple of their defense forever. Try to protect the basket and protect the three-point line and make you play with a lot of mid-range shots, and they've had a lot of success in that, and it's something they coach really well. And certainly for us, you have to try to run your offense, do what you do, but also take what's there and then make them pay. So I think it's important anytime you play Wisconsin, you're going to have to loosen up their defense a little bit by scoring in the mid-range. And when we had our success, which was only the one game since I've been here, we shot it very well, and that was the game we were fortunate enough to win. The other times we've played them, they were able to defend us really well, and they were a pretty good team the last couple of years with their talent, so that helped too.
With Bo gone, are there? Oh, saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of noticeable changes? Do you think?
What's funny? It's looking what Coach Gard has done. He's been with Bo for so long that the one thing I've seen is they've gone back to some of their basics with their offense, with their swing offense, their motion. They had such unbelievable talent the last couple years that they went more towards kind of isolating Kaminsky and Decker and these guys that were such superior players. They got away from a little bit of what they've been doing for 15 years. And now I'm seeing with this team, they're kind of getting back to the basics of who Wisconsin basketball has been and been really well for a long time, and that's playing their swing motion offense, really good sound man-to-man defense, limiting possessions, playing at a slower tempo, and kind of winning those grinded out games. And you look at them and you might say, oh, their record, but look at who they've played. And they lose at the buzzer to Maryland. They play Purdue really tough, who's one of the top teams in our league, and they go on the road at Indiana and lose by 1. So, the record is not indicative of how they've been playing. I really think this is a team that is hitting their stride and playing pretty good basketball right now.
How important is Derek going to be going up against a guy like Nigel Hayes?
Well, I don't know if they're mano-a-mano going to be going up against each other. You might see that a little bit. But, I'm really happy with what Joey and Derek have done. I think the other night, again, they gave us, if you look at their production in the games Alex has been out, they've been doing everything we've asked them to do. They're shooting a high percentage. They're rebounding the ball really well. They're guarding the basket well. So, I don't know how much you'll see Derek against Nigel, just the way they play, the way we play. But certainly I know Derek will be ready to go, as Joey will as well.
When they have Hap and Hazen, is this a game that you can see Skelly play more, or with the zone does it not really matter?
Yeah, I think it's kind of game by game. Gavin is, those guys off the bench, whether it's Gavin and Taphorn and Scotty, and they all get a chance in every game, and I kind of just see how the game's going. And a couple of those games, we've been down, and I've gone more with Nate just because if he could bring some scoring and shooting. A bigger physical team like Wisconsin, you could see a little bit more Gavin, and I know he'll be ready. They have a big front line. They play Vito, Brown, Hap, and Hayes together. That's 3 bigger guys on the front line, and we're going to need our big bodies out there to be able to play against it.
Coach, 2-2 start to Big Ten play, but two wins on the road. Given your postseason aspirations, how important is that?
Oh, I think anytime you can win on the road, it's huge. It's our league is. It doesn't matter who you play, where you play them, when you play them. It's tough to win in anyone's building, and for us in our first 2 games to be able to go on the road and win, I think it shows a lot about the toughness of our guys to be able to win in different atmospheres. And now we have to be able to stamp that, though. You have to win at home too, and we haven't been able to get that done. So I think it makes a game like tomorrow really important for us.
His shooting percentage has struggled a little bit this season.
Who's that?
Hayes.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of wondering what you've seen that James has been able to do to shut him down a little bit.
Well, because they have a bigger lineup, he's playing more as a 3-man this year. And so I think you're seeing him shoot a lot of perimeter jump shots, where in the past he was primarily a 4-5. in their system with Decker playing as a wing and Ducon and those guys, but because of their personnel and wanting to get their best guys on the floor, he's playing as a perimeter guy this year. So I think he's getting the ball more on the wing, a little bit more on the perimeter, and when you shoot more outside the paint, your percentage is going to go down a little bit. Now he's still really dangerous, and when he gets down on that block, he's a load to cover, and he's capable of shooting threes. So I just think it's more of a function of them kind of figuring out their team. They've had a coaching change. They've kind of switched up what they've been doing a little bit, and I think his talent is going to come through as the season goes on. Hopefully we can do a good job against him tomorrow.
Team's been much better defensively in this last 2 games after the Ohio State and Maryland games. Just wondering if you think that you're going to play more zone or man-to-man against Wisconsin's bigger line.
Well, I think we've played a lot of zone the last few games, and we're really effective with it against both Ohio State and against Minnesota. I've said before, it's a defense. Our guys, we're kind of a man zone. It's not like a true zone. There's a lot of man-to-man principles. There's a lot of matchup things we do out of it. So it's something our guys have really taken to. They have confidence in it. It kind of keeps us compact. We don't get broken down as much. It gets us on the boards. If you look at our rebounding, it's really helped. It's really helped our rebounding. So it's something we're going to stay with. We'd still have man as well, but I think you'll see a combination and kind of how the game's going. If we feel like the zone's being effective, we'll stay in it, and if teams are getting a rhythm against it, then we'll switch it up and try to give them some different looks.
Any chance we see Joey and Derek play together at all?
Probably going to be tough, especially Joey's still coming back. He doesn't practice much. He's still battling back from an injury with his foot. So it's hard. You got to kind of split those 40 minutes. You got to have one of those 2 guys on the floor at all times. So right now, maybe when we get Alex back and now you have the 3 of them, we may tinker around with having bigger lineups at times. But, right now with only the two of them kind of manning that big position, it's more of a, tandem spot, and I don't see them playing too much together right now.
Joey on time?
He's not on a time limit. He just, because he doesn't practice that much, because we're trying to limit his pounding, with conditioning and stuff. The Minnesota game was promising. It was his first time over 20 minutes. And he was pretty sore afterwards. And so we've had to limit a little bit of what he's done yesterday and a little bit today. He'll be ready to go tomorrow. But I think that plays a little bit in, trying to make sure we keep him fresh and keep him healthy, especially when we still don't have Alex.
The matchup zone stuff, is it like the Channing used to do something? When you talk about man.
No, I won't give myself that much credit for being as good as Coach Chaney. I mean, it's a lot of man-to-man stuff in it. I think our guys, the more you play some zone, teams get a rhythm against it. So not only do they kind of see what we're trying to do, but we also get a chance to see what other teams are trying to do to attack it. So I think our guys have gotten better at learning how to match up to different things teams are doing, and it's been successful. And again, it's something I think fits our team pretty well. It keeps our defense compact, and as long as we talk in it well, and then it's really helped us on the glass, which in our conference, is a big deal.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks a lot.